Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. I just want to be clear about something that there's nothing wrong with being afraid in dealing with family court, a judge, or feeling intimidated by an opposing attorney. The problem is when you let your fear paralyze you to not even attempt to fight for your kids. You have to care more about your fear. You have to care more about your kids than the fear of losing in court, of feeling uncomfortable. If you think about it, if you go and fight for your kids, what do you got to lose? Especially you dads out there and some moms who are on supervised visitation, or you got every other weekend and you live 3 blocks away and should obviously be having 50-50. What do you got to lose? You got nowhere to go but up. That's most cases. And then some people just sit there. They're afraid to go to court at all. If you don't have a court action, they just want to obey your baby's mom and do whatever she says. And the countless guys that I talk to, I have this discussion with guys who, you got your kid and for Saturday or something, and your baby's mom says, hey, bring the kid back tonight at 8 o'clock. I'll ask a guy, how come you didn't say no? How come you didn't keep your kid on the weekend? Oh, I can't. Why not? Because I don't have custody. Why not? You told me you don't have a court order. She has custody. Well, you're letting her have custody. Like, your fear of her has you just thinking delusional thoughts and making up a paranoid, schizophrenic, scenario. I'm afraid of the boogeyman of, like, nobody's ever, like, I've had a couple people talk to me recently and they're like, nobody's ever said the things you said before. Nobody's ever asked me that, or nobody's ever said stand up like this. Okay. And it's still common sense. If the example that I'm giving right now, most dads, like, they had, let's say you and the mom were getting along and you were sharing the kids, or you were living with her or married to her, and now you're separated. How come all of a sudden you would have access to the kids 24/7 when you're living together? Or maybe you had the kids on the weekends and the mother, all the time. And let's say the mom works on the weekends and you work during the weekday, you'd have the kids on the weekends. Then all of a sudden she says, I don't like your new girlfriend, or we're not getting along. You can't see them. What changed? Like, this is one of the most insane scenarios. I'll ask a guy, why did you not just keep the kids? Well, she said that I can't. Or, or a lot of guys will say, she won't let me. So you have the kids at your house. And guys, this is the insanity of fear and living by your fears. I'll ask a guy this question, and they will literally just sit there paralyzed, and they don't know what to answer, or they'll get mad at me, like they'll get angry, because the only real answer to why you're not keeping your kids, you're not, having your kids the way you just did last week or a couple months ago when she was letting you have the kids. You've never even thought about that because you're just a good little obedient slave. And so when I asked, why don't you keep the kids? Oh, she has custody, but you don't have a court order. Oh, this, that, and the other. I'm like, you just had the kids before. Like, it's July right now. You just had the kids every weekend last June. That's what you told me. You don't have a court order. And now you can only have the kids for like 4 hours on Saturday. What changed from that time to this time? Oh, well, she doesn't let me. Okay, what changed? Why doesn't she let you? Oh, she doesn't like my new girlfriend, or she's not comfortable. Who the friggin' hell is she? How come she owns the children? Where are you getting that from? And see, when I ask these questions and make guys confront that their fears and that their fears are just made up in their head, you know, with the exception of if you're not married in Georgia, it's assumed the mother has custody. And then Michigan, you can't keep the kid longer than a day. Now, those are totally fascist laws that they have there, and they're unconstitutional. And if you had the balls to take it further, you could contest in court how unconstitutional it is and take it to your state Supreme Court and fix that. But no dad and no father's rights group and no lawyer has the balls to do that because everybody's a pussy. So that, and I'm talking from somebody who's been to the Supreme Court on one particular case that I had. I've helped out a couple other guys on my state, in Washington State Supreme Court. Helped a couple other guys go to the Supreme Court. Helped countless guys go to the Court of Appeals. So I have a practice of thoroughly going through my case and not quitting when I lose up front or whatever. Now, early on in my case, I could have kept my kid longer, but nobody even planted that thought in my head, so I was just like you. I didn't think about it. If someone would have said, why don't you keep the kid? And explain to me that we don't have a court order, there's no court order giving her custody, there's no court order giving me custody. She's voluntarily letting me have the child for 4 hours during the day when it's most dangerous. Why can't the child stay the night? And especially for you guys where you used to have the child or children stay the night. The only thing that's changed is the mother's emotional basket case whims or feelings. All of a sudden, she doesn't want to let you see the kid, and you're a good little obedient slave. So when I ask guys this, again, this is what fear does to you. Fear makes you act totally illogical. And most guys don't fear much of anything in life except a woman. The prophet Elijah wasn't afraid of 300 evil sorcerers, but then he was afraid of one woman and went and hid from her. He talked smack to a whole bunch of people who could have killed him. But when I ask guys these questions, well, why are you doing this? How come you don't act like the father of your own child? How come you don't act like you did before? What has changed? Well, she won't let me. So I've had several guys, what do you mean she won't let you? When you have the kids at your home, how does she not let you have them longer? They're so brainwashed. They're like, you know that picture, that scenario of an elephant at a circus that's chained up at the circus? And then after a while, they supposedly don't. I've heard this. I've never actually seen it, but then they can tie a rope around the elephant, or then they just put a buckle around the elephant's ankle, and they don't actually have a chain because the elephant is so used to being chained down in his mind, he thinks he can't escape. You're so used to being a slave to your baby's mom and obeying her and letting her dominate and punk you that you think you can't escape and you have to obey her. So then when I break it down, guys get pissed at me because the only answer they have, or they literally freeze. And I'm like, well, why don't you? I don't know. What are you asking me that for? I'm asking you, you acted this way before. What changed? Let's say you're a pitcher in baseball or a basketball player and you confidently bring the ball up court and you distribute the ball, or you're a pitcher and you're confident you have a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Now you're afraid to use it, or you're reluctant, or you get out of control. What happened? Something happened to your psyche. What changed from the way you were before and the way you are now? And guys will get pissed. And the reason why they get pissed, every once in a while, a guy will say, well, I guess I'm just scared. I guess I was being a pussy. Because when I break it down, you have no excuse not to act like the father of the kid, except, well, I just want to obey the mother. I just want to keep the peace, or I don't want any problems. So you suffer emotionally and psychologically, and you give yourself an ulcer, and you surrender your kids that are equally yours because you don't want to have problems with that lady, because the drama with her. And what drama are you worried about? If she comes over to your house and bangs on the door, you call the cops and make her go away. Oh, but you're such a pussy. You don't want to hurt her feelings or make her go to jail when she deserves it. It's when your fear turns into something where you act like somebody you're not. You can't act like the father of your own kids, or you don't go to court and fight. Especially when there's somebody like me out here showing people how to fight. You got to make a decision to fight for your kids. despite your fear. You go anyway. You're afraid and you go anyway. That's what any warrior